From ancient times to our modern day, there are still great mysteries in the world that have yet to be unraveled by mankind. The following 7 antiquities, either large in scale or odd in terms of their construction, remain extremely surprising. We simply cannot let these mesmerizing structures go unseen. Take a look at these 7 most mystifying megalithic structures on Earth. 7. Easter Island Heads. We all know about Easter Island for one reason: the Moai, aka the Easter Island Heads. Standing at 13 feet tall and weighing 14 tons, these stone statues have been a head-scratcher since their discovery by European travelers in 1722. To this very day, no one knows exactly why the native people of Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, created the structures in the first place. It's also unclear how anyone got to the island in the first place. Said to have been inhabited between AD 800 and AD 1200, the island is completely isolated from any other landmasses. It's 2,300 miles from South America and 1,100 miles from the nearest neighboring island. So, what exactly is the purpose of the Moai with the lack of written history? Despite not knowing the purpose of the stone figures, some scholars believe that the Moai were created to honor the ancestors belonging to the Rapa Nui people, such as chiefs and other important figures in their community. But alas, without any written or oral history, the stone heads continue to elude us as to their purpose. What we do know is that the island developed its own unique artistic and architectural culture apart from the surrounding landmasses. It's also reported that Rapa Nui culture reached its habitual and social peak between the 10th and 16th centuries. Its decline might be connected to drastic changes in the island's ecosystem, a change caused by overreaping the land's natural resources and introducing a destructive and invasive species of rodents. 6. Machu Picchu, an unexpected discovery. Machu Picchu has been a fan-fave tourist destination that has spurred a large amount of Instagram and Tinder profile pictures for the masses to see. However, despite everyone knowing what and where the lost city is, no one really knows why it's there. Not for certain, anyway. Well, not without speculation, of course. The ruins of Machu Picchu were discovered on the morning of July 24, 1911, by Yale University professor and explorer Hiram Bingham, who was on a mission to investigate the rumors surrounding ancient Incan ruins in Peru. However, Bingham didn't expect to find a city on top of a hidden mountain. When Bingham first laid eyes on the city, he mistook it for a different lost city, Vilcabamba. It wasn't until the 1960s that archaeologists discovered it was an entirely different site. Though Machu Picchu wasn't the city Bingham was looking for, it didn't stop archaeologists and scholars alike from wondering what the city was built for. Here are the certainties. The first is that Machu Picchu was built around AD 1450 and housed a meager 500 to 750 people. It's believed that this small citadel was a retreat for the wealthy and elite to escape the bustling cities at the base of the mountain. Scholars also believe diverse people came in and out of the city. For instance, there was evidence of head modeling, a practice done in the coastal areas and highlands of Peru. There was also pottery shards and ceramics made by people from as far as Lake Titicaca. 5. Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe is one of the oldest sites in archaeological history and is considered the birthplace of the region. Built in 8000 BC, the circular temple was unearthed in 1994 and contained T-shaped pillars depicting animals and human figures, some of which show the performance of a ritualistic dance, leading many to believe that the temple was a place of worship. The temple's discovery shakes the very foundation of how we view the birth of civilization. It was believed that agriculture triggered the evolution of building cities, creating art, writing, and religion. However, Gobekli Tepe had everyone stupefied at the discovery, and many still have questions about the temple's significance. What was more shocking than finding a temple that was nearly 12,000 years old was the fact that the builders at the time were able to cut, shape, and transport stones that weighed up to 16 tons, without the assistance of wheels or domesticated animals. It's assumed that those who worshipped at Gobekli Tepe lived without writing, metal, or pottery, and that they barely came to terms with the concept of a spiritual world. Scientists theorize that the people inhabiting the area were still hunter-gatherers or foragers, and that they had yet to domesticate animals. Despite the magnanimous find, archaeologists struggle to understand the temple's meaning, as well as the people who worship there. 4. King Tut's tomb. In the beginning of the 20th century, many archaeologists believed that all of the treasures found within the Valley of the Kings had all been discovered by the mid to late 1800s. It was due to this strong belief that British archaeologist Howard Carter almost missed the entrance of King Tutankhamun's tomb. However, when Carter and his team found a rubble-filled stairway in Egypt, they knew they were about to discover something phenomenal. Pulling away the rubble and stone, they discovered undisturbed seals of a royal tomb, and inside was a treasure that would define the century, the boy king's tomb. However, despite what we know about the young king, there is evidence that suggests that King Tut wasn't exactly perfect. Tutankhamun obtained the throne at the young age of 9 and ruled for an equal amount of years until his death at age 19, around 1324 BC. Tutankhamun ruled during Egypt's New Kingdom era and was known for the lavish and impeccably preserved treasures in his tomb, including wooden chariots and jewels. However, despite his buried wealth, he was a sickly boy who was disabled and had contracted malaria. His remains show that King Tut had a club foot that required him to use a cane. He was a genetic disaster. He had a weak immune system and a bone disorder, which may be thanks to inbreeding between his mother and father, who were siblings. 3. Bete Giyorgus, Lalibela, Ethiopia. Bete Giyorgus, or the Church of St. George, is one of 11 stone churches that dot the Ethiopian city of Lalibela. Made from a single rock around 900 years ago, the building is 50 feet tall and shaped like a Greek cross. Aside from the building being hugged by a man-made basin, it is perfectly proportioned and attracts a pilgrimage of worshippers, and with them 80,000 to 100,000 visitors each year. After 900 years of service, you would think the church no longer held services, but you would be dead wrong. The church continues to be open for weekly services and acts as a place of worship for those in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. It even has its own oral history. According to Atlas Obscura, there is a lore surrounding Ethiopia's Lalibela. It was said to be the name of a king who was responsible for erecting the 11 churches. His name was Saint Gebre Meskel Lalibela, and he was born into the Zagwe dynasty of Ethiopia. Before the region was named after him, the town was originally called Roha. Legend has it that when Lalibela was a newborn, he was surrounded by bees. It was a sign that Lalibela would one day be a ruler of Ethiopia. Therefore, his name means the bees recognize his sovereignty. It took Saint Gebre Meskel Lalibela 24 years to construct his churches, a feat that was said to be accomplished with the help of angels. 2. The Great Pyramid of Cholula. When the Spanish conquistadors reached the shores of the New World, they were in search of one thing and one thing only: treasure. They stormed by the thousands, murdering and pillaging every great city they could come into contact with. Then, on October 12, 1519, they swept through the town now known as Cholula. Unlike other cities, Cholula was a sacred place, rumored to have a temple for every day of the year. When Hernan Cortez and his men plundered every precious object in sight, they also burned down the temple and erected their own. One of those temples, a church, was the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de los Remedios, which sat on what many believed to be a big hill. They were wrong. The pyramid was under the church. Little did the Spaniards realize the hill where they built their church was really a hidden pyramid. And not just any hidden pyramid, but the largest pyramid in the world. It stands 1,500 feet wide and 216 feet tall, which is compared to 9 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And yes, the Pyramid of Cholula is even bigger than the Pyramids of Giza. Built somewhere around 300 BC, the pyramid was most likely constructed by the Choluteca. The pyramid is said to be the largest monument ever constructed by any civilization to date. If that's not impressive enough, then know that the pyramid is made up of 6 layers, one stacked on top of the other. The locals call it Tlachihuatepetl, man-made mountain. 1. The mysticism of Stonehenge. Oh, come on, you all knew we were going to talk about one of history's most magical stone structures. how can we not talk about Stonehenge? A structure filled with mysticism and awe. Locals and tourists alike flock to the ancient site for various reasons. According to National Geographic, the folklore behind Stonehenge stems back to the time of King Arthur. The stones were created by the wizard Merlin and assembled by giants. Of course, there are multiple theories as to why the structure was built. Some archaeologists and folklorists believe it was a place of healing or a scientific observatory that measured the sun. The real answer may or may not surprise you. The site might have served as a memorial. The site was created sometime 5,000 years ago as a circular ditch made up of a pattern of wooden posts. This was later replaced somewhere around 2600 BC by 80 dolerite bluestones from Wales and was consistently rearranged until large sarsen stones were added several hundred years later. However, it wasn't until recently, in 2010, that some scholars began to believe Stonehenge may be a ceremonial site to honor the dead. The idea is supported by the discovery of a second Stonehenge-type site called Blue Stonehenge. Archaeologists believe that site could further prove the two Stonehenges might have been used for memorial purposes. Do let us know in the comment which one of them you would like to see. Thanks for watching.